It's over. Jonathan Kuminga's situation has been settled, and honestly, best case scenario for the Golden State Warriors, he signs. He'll be playing this upcoming year. We'll tell you about his 2-year deal on today's Locked On Warriors and what it means for Golden State.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
What are they going to say now?
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Alrighty then, it is about time. Let's talk some hoop, contract saga, finito. This is Locked On Warriors. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, going live when news breaks, Monday through Friday. We got audio podcasts. We're on YouTube. You can also check us out after the games. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. If your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. My name's Charlie Walter. I covered the team for 95.7 The Game in the past, also on TV for CBS News Bay Area. Matt Kolsky joins the program. He was with me at 95.7 The Game, spent many years at KNBR. Enough about us. On to the main attraction. Jonathan Kuminga is a Golden State Warrior this upcoming season. The deal is 2 years, $48.5 million, 1 year guaranteed with a team option. That team option is designed for the Warriors or the team that he's traded to rip up that deal and start over with a fresh new contract after the 25-26 campaign, the sources said, and those sources probably Aaron Turner, but it's over, Kolsky. It's over, and honestly, it seems like this is best case scenario. We hope. You're muted.
What makes you think Aaron Turner was the source, dude? Why would you say something like that? What has he done to make you think he might be talking? Yeah, listen, doesn't matter who the source is, doesn't matter anything except there's a 2-year deal. The team option intended to be ripped up. I don't know if that might just be more optics than anything, you know, when that is broadcast out from whoever it comes from. But the bottom line is, there have always been sort of two potential scenarios for Kuminga's career. But, you know, assuming he doesn't magically suddenly start to do all the little role player things that Steve Kerr wants him to do. One is bide your time, do your best to contribute, and wait till the old guys are gone. The other one is get traded. And I think this deal puts both sides in a position where they can reassess, if he's still on the team at the end of the year, they can reassess the window in terms of, you know, where did it look like this year? Where are Steph and Draymond and Jimmy at? All that sort of stuff. And then what did Kuminga look like over the course of the year and decide what they want to do moving forward. As far as the deal itself, I'm shocked to see people in the chat talking about the agent failing before all of this nonsense. And it is nonsense. It has been nonsense. Don't get me wrong. But before this, it was a 3-year, $54 million offer. He got him all the way up to basically 2 for $50. I think that's a solid deal for Kuminga, no matter what way you cut it. They didn't get what
they wanted. That's why they're looking at it as a failure. But from the start, they got the upper end in terms of what they wanted, you know, originally. But at the same time, the Warriors, they stood pat that they weren't going to turn that team option into a player option, and they won that way. I think this is
both sides winning. I honestly, I think this is the Warriors have the tradable asset and the salary slot that they needed. And frankly, a player who, if he's on the team, is going to be kind of important, at least in the regular season.
At the very least, kind of. That's a fair word. At the very least, kind of.
Well, listen, we don't need to get into the Steve Kerr. We'll have plenty of time to discuss what Steve Kerr does with him as far as playing time goes when it comes to the important moments. But if we're talking about the regular season with 3 guys over 35 as your main pieces, there's going to be a lot of nights where those guys don't play, and you need someone who can step up and play big minutes and probably score for you if it's Jimmy or Steph that's missing. So
let's point to a game last year, Kolsky. Remember the Houston Rockets game early in the season? Warriors almost blew the 30-point lead. Kuminga was the best player on the floor in
and
that
he had
game.
like
there was
30.
no Steph Curry. You probably don't win that game if it's just Wiggins out there and not Kuminga scoring 30 points. There were multiple games you can point to with that. But here's the deal. This is better than the qualifying offer for Jonathan Kuminga, in my opinion, because there are a couple scenarios that happen here. One, he's traded midseason. Worst case scenario, he goes to, I don't know what's worst case scenario in his situation, but maybe New Orleans, maybe Utah, something like that. Team option. They pick him up the following season. He's a free agent a year later. Delays the process. He's still plenty young, makes his money, and takes a little bit of a gamble on himself while at the same time doing the smart thing, not taking a qualifying offer. And it allows him to potentially get out of Golden State earlier than the qualifying offer, which would be mid-season. The other way you look at it, somehow this relationship's perfect. Jimmy Butler, we all love JK. He said that in the press conference, and he means it. We don't know, because at the end of the day, like, we've been doing this long enough, Kolsky, to where very rarely, especially with veterans that are champions, will they go up on a podium and say something that is not coached, right?
Yeah, but I think, certainly Draymond and even to a lesser extent Steph or definitely Jimmy too, but even to a lesser extent Steph might have said something like, well, I'm really just focused on who's here right now, and like if people want to be here, they'll be, like it could have been a little less. No, man, we love him. This isn't a big deal. We expect him here soon, right? And if that is as much as we can take anything from what the most important players on the team said,
he's welcome back when he's back.
It'll be fine.
And this is just contract negotiations. This is just business.
Yeah.
And
listen, Steph and Draymond and Jimmy are aware of the alleged fit issues just as much as anybody, like but they're all going to try, because there was never a better scenario with Kuminga signing the qualifying offer. Or frankly, look, we can talk about the deals that were offered, and somebody might try to argue that a Sacramento Kings first rounder and Malik Monk is just straight up better value than Jonathan Kuminga. And, I disagree with that, but I would hear the argument. It's not an insane thing to say. The problem for me is, if I'm trying to win games with Steph Curry, as many games as possible, I don't think I'm a better team after that deal. So, does the first round pick help you more down the road? Is Malik Monk also a tradable asset? Perhaps. But, if you're just actually trying to put the best team on the floor around Steph right now, none of the offers that were there for Kuminga would have done that, in my opinion.
And in my opinion, this happening, and this happening confirms that he's going to play ball. They would not have done this if that was up in the air. They know more behind the scenes than we do, us podcasters. And if there was any chance that this was not going to work to the point where they're signing him to some deal and he's not going to play or anything like that, this wouldn't have happened. So he's going to play ball. The question is, playing ball, how much does Steve Kerr want to play him? How effective is he going to be? The role, again, does he buy into what this role is? And does he have good value come deadline time? And is that still going to be the option? Or does he play his way into a different role where the Warriors all of a sudden say, you know what, maybe we can bridge this gap. 2 timelines are back on.
Well,
Round
I don't know.
for Joe.
I don't want to even mention 2 timelines.
One day at a time, yes.
But I will say this, as I've said for years now, and I think this, offseason put some truth to it. There's no good scenario for the Warriors where Jonathan Kuminga either doesn't play or plays poorly. That's it. If they want to be good with him, he needs to play well. If they want to use him as a piece to trade for someone, he has to at least show some value, at least continue to show the sparks he's shown when he's been given consistent playing time in the past. So, it's going to be very interesting to see how much playing time he gets on a night where Jimmy and Steph and Draymond are all playing, and equally interesting to see how much playing time he gets when one of those guys is not there. And I expect obviously one will be higher than the other, but how much higher and just how little he might play when everyone else is healthy is going to be fascinating. But I also think, look, there are plenty. I can certainly imagine a circumstance where 20 minutes of JK on a healthy night and 35 minutes of JK on one of the old guys is resting night works pretty well for the regular season. I don't know what that does in the playoffs, but I can see that working well in the regular season. And I could see Kuminga, especially if, there's a stretch where Jimmy Butler doesn't play for 2 weeks. I can see Kuminga going off and making himself a very attractive trade candidate. So there's no question that this deal getting done today in the way it got done is the best thing for everybody involved. We've talked about it a lot. I told you I was pretty sure it would still get done before October 1st. And
Barely.
The fact that it did is because at the end of the day, and this is the end of the day, at the end of the day, nobody actually wanted Jonathan Kuminga on the qualifying offer. He didn't want it. His agent didn't want it. The Warriors didn't want it. So they came to the best happy medium they could find.
The old-fashioned bluff does not necessarily pay off. But again, this was a long stalemate. And from what they were asking for at the beginning, they got the offer up. And
they did meet in the middle, more or less, right?
And they took it to the final minute. They took it to the final minute, which Draymond Green said is their right to do. It did not change the Warriors' plans whatsoever from what we believe. I mean, we heard that Melton, Horford, and bringing back Peyton and Seth Curry was the move pretty much all offseason.
So Seth Curry, I think, is out of the picture now. This is what I've been doing since.
Are you breaking news with the Seth Curry? What?
Well, no. So this has been the conversation.
Thought they had the $2 million slot.
It's not the money, as far as I know. Although, there's some timing issues with that. But here's where I'm at. You get 15 spots on your roster, right? Steph, Jimmy, Draymond, Horford, Pods, Hield, Melton, Peyton, Moody. Kuminga.
Gee.
Hold on. Quentin Post, TJD, Gee, Will Richard, who they signed, makes 14, and Pat Spencer was at Media Day. So now I don't know. Maybe Pat Spencer's on a two-way. And then there would be a spot, which, as some people in the chat are saying, would mean financially, without, violating the next apron, they could sign Seth like a month into the season. And they're saying Pat is on the two-way. So then that's what it would have to be. Seth could sign a month into the season, and like the fact that he hasn't signed anywhere would suggest to me that's probably the plan, but who knows? You never know for sure.
What were you showing me on the paper, those hieroglyphics there?
So it's just names. I was trying to think about the rotation, and as you'll see,
let's talk about that in a minute. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the money.
No guard.
Let's get into that. Money, what role is going to be, Kolsky's hieroglyphics, all that. It's coming up on Locked On Warriors. First, let's tell you about our sponsor, Doer. It's the top jeanswear you're ever going to find in your life. And now you can find a store, a physical store in San Francisco. And by mentioning the code LOCKEDONSF, you'll get 15% off your order. You can also do that online at shopdoer.com/LockedOnSF. Doer is spelled D-U-E-R. But first of all, reasons why you'll like Doer jeanswear. They're for any occasion, truly. You can wear them to work, running errands, grabbing dinner, casual events. They have 5 times the stretch of traditional denim, so you get the perfect fit without feeling restricted. They feel like your comfiest joggers, but they're ready to wear out for a night in town. They're antibacterial, which means they stay fresh longer, so you can wear more and wash less. They have CoolMax technology that regulates your temperature and wicks away moisture. Trust me, you will love these. Once you switch to this classic jeanswear style with the comfort and performance of athletic wear, it's the best of both worlds. It's the best of both worlds. You are never going to go back. 567 Hayes Street is the address. It's in Hayes Valley. Mention my code LOCKEDONSF for 15% off your first order. Shop online at shopdoer.com/LOCKEDONSF. Doer is DUER. You'll get that 15% off. Today's episode is also brought to you by America's #1 sportsbook. That is the FanDuel app, and right now is a great time with MLB playoffs here. Fade the Los Angeles Dodgers. Take the Cincinnati Reds. But NFL season is also here. And the best thing about the FanDuel app, one, it's the deal that you're going to get. Place your first $5 bet, and if you win, you'll get $300 instantly to use across the FanDuel app. Different bets that you can do, player props. You can bet on the Warriors over-under right now. I believe it's 46.5. We're smashing the over. You can bet on Kuminga being an MVP this season. If you're really feeling the spicy odds, over-unders, money lines, live lines, so you can get in if you miss the start of the game. It's all on FanDuel.com. All right, Kolsky, we're going to get into your depth chart in just a minute, but we'll start with the money aspect and what this means. Obviously, base year compensation had some... It's got some issues in terms of, in the offseason, sending Kuminga's contract away and then in return just receiving half the value. And that's why the Malik Monk trade, which money-wise would have worked out okay, I believe, it wouldn't have worked out unless you threw in like a Moses Moody or a Buddy Hield because of that taking the halfback type salary. We've talked about it a lot at this point. What this does now is at the deadline, Kuminga's traded potentially, and who knows what the plan is, but let's say he is potentially traded. You could do that same deal mano-a-mano, I would think. Or you can attach a $13 million Moses Moody contract or a Buddy Hield contract or sprinkle someone else in, some draft picks, whatever, and you can return a legit player with that financial flexibility.
Right. I mean,
dare I say Giannis?
It's a huge difference. Well, that's going to take a lot more than that to get Giannis.
Yeah,
and as I think I've been consistent with, to get Giannis will first require Giannis
the Bucks
to say...
sucking. No, he said that he wants to be on a contender. If the Bucks suck,
No. That's not where I was going. He is going to have to say, I want to go to Golden State and nowhere else. Because
of the asset package that the Warriors would have to offer.
Or at least... he'd have to narrow the choices to where they had the best offer because just generally across the league, there's no way they'd be able to put the best offer together. Now, as far as Kuminga goes, that's $24-ish million that he's on the books for this year, probably a little less because it escalates. That is a significant player. Not an all-star, but a significant player that you could trade him straight up for when that's eligible, which I think would be in January, but possibly December.
$22.5 million is his salary next season.
22.5 is that's a valuable contract slot. And they will still have to take back equal value contractually. But as you said, if you start adding some of the smaller contracts, like Moody alone, or Buddy, I think is in that 10 to 12 range too, I want to say.
9, I think.
Okay, great. Put them both in there, you're in the 50s, right? Or in the high 40s anyway. Put Moody in there with the 23, that's like $36 million. Those are real potential, fringe all-star level players, potentially, depending on what you're looking at. There's no question this is better for the Warriors, right? And even just on its face,
if he plays ball, which we assume at this point he will.
When you say play ball, what do you mean?
I mean, just literally show up ready to work.
Yeah, well, there's no reason to expect he wouldn't. So let's assume that he will. He certainly had the option to not sign this contract. The fact that he signed it, I don't know how to interpret that, but he's ready to go. So assuming he is ready to go, I would venture to say that the roster without JK, which, I think we all gave a pretty good chance to beat Minnesota. With him, it's got to be at least a little better, right? plus you add Horford to that.
Well, they had
plus,
him last year. He just
but he wasn't
playing that much.
But I'm saying, like, that roster was basically what you're looking at now, minus Horford, with Kuminga not playing, with Melton not available. And before Steph got hurt, we gave him a decent chance against Minnesota. So
there's no reason to think this team won't be good.
I think it would be a stretch to suggest that they're in direct competition with the Oklahoma City, Denver, Houston triumvirate. Although obviously
Houston with Van Fleet going down, I would say that let's see first. But I agree, the 2-horse race in the West.
Okay, so let's just call it the 2 then, right? But I think it's probably even a bit of a stretch to suggest that. Who knows with Houston?
I don't think it's a stretch with LA, with both LAs. I don't think that's a stretch.
No, they're right in that group. It's got both LA teams. It's got Minnesota on the higher end. You know, I would put Minnesota at the top of that group right now based on youth and improvement. But the Warriors are right there with Minnesota. I would have them above the Clippers, certainly, and potentially the Lakers. I have them above all of the other potential theoretical contenders like San Antonio or Memphis. Memphis is already dealing with brutal injury issues, and the season hasn't even started yet. San Antonio is very young, and we don't totally know how that's all going to fit together yet. It's an old team, so you obviously have concerns about staying healthy. But if they do, I don't think there's any reason why they can't compete for the potentially the 4-5 slot, and certainly the 6 spot and a guaranteed playoff seed. So, you know, I don't know that there was a scenario where the offseason was going to end in a much better place than this.
I think the team got significantly better from last season. I think Horford is a signing that, yeah, dude, he fits. He fits. We talk about, like, forget age, forget the fact that he's no longer all-star Al Horford, one of the best defenders in the game.
He's what you want.
He's smart. He's a professional. He knows how to show up and work. He knows, I mean, at this point, he knows his body to a certain degree and what he can give on a certain night. He's going to figure out how to play in this Steve Kerr offense, and he's going to be a connecting big. He's going to be someone that can stretch the floor and shoot, short roll option. And then defensively, I think that he on the perimeter is much better than Quentin Post, to where last year, if you wanted a big on the floor, and that big was Quentin Post, he'd be getting cooked, you know, on roller skates.
Yeah,
out by the perimeter. And Horford, that's not going to happen. Like, he can hold his own to a degree. He can.
To a degree. He's very old, and he's not as good there as he used to be, but he's certainly much smarter there than Quentin Post. And honestly, I think you would say about Quentin Post's career, if everything goes spectacularly, you'd hope he can kind of be like an Al Horford type. So he's certainly a good guy to have hanging around your second round draft pick that popped in a surprising way last year. Melton, like, not only is he a quality player to add to your rotation, but he's a guy that we know if he's on the floor fits. Now, I'm not sure that you can expect a full season from him, but anything he does give you will essentially be gravy. Gary Payton II, same thing. I mean, on this roster, he is now basically a break glass in case of emergency type of guy. I have to believe Pods, Healed, Melton.
Dude, he played 16 minutes in the playoffs last year, did Gary Payton, per game. I don't think he's a break glass emergency type of guy. I still think Kerr's going to find a way to get him in there.
We'll see. We'll see. And that's going to be a big question this season, too. Like you just said, this roster looks a lot better. It has the
him
potential.
And Will Richard, I mean, there's enough of a redundancy there to where you can't imagine Will Richard's going to be getting minutes and Gary Payton II in the same game.
I could make the argument if I wanted to call Moses Moody a shooting guard, which he's not really, but he kind of could be.
Kidding me? He's power forward.
Okay, but I could make an argument if I include him that there are 6 two guards on this team, and yet no starting 2 guard. So it's a weird situation. And how Steve Kerr manages it is going to be a story this season once again. And who starts?
So you're saying Podziemski's not a worthy enough starting shooting guard after him in the lineup with the 3 and with Moses Moody last year went 15
No.
and 0?
No. I'm not saying they don't have a worthy starting.
You're saying they don't have a clear cut.
Correct.
Yes. You're right. Could be Buddy, could be Melton, could be Moody, could be.
I think at best, the 2 guards expected to be the 4th best player in the starting lineup, right? So I'm not saying like nobody's good enough to do that. I'm saying it's a weird situation because I could make an argument for Pods, Hield, or Melton easily. I could also make an argument for starting Moody at the 2. I could also make an argument for starting, if you wanted to get crazy, Jimmy at the 2 and bringing Kuminga in at the 3. Like, Steve Kerr could get weird here. Now, he probably won't get as creatively weird as I just suggested, but, as people have pointed out a lot in the chat, there's also going to be injuries probably that will affect this. So, how the rotation shakes out, are they able to stay big? Clearly, the addition of Horford as a presumptive starting center means they would like to stay big more and have Draymond as the center less.
As would I.
Certainly during the regular season, but also I think Horford is a playoff player, so that means they want to do it in the playoffs as well. And if Al Horford gets hurt, that becomes a lot harder to do very quickly, right? Because that center rotation is pretty thin. On the other hand, if Buddy Hield gets hurt, no worries. Next man up. We got a bunch of guys that we can try out in that role, especially if Seth ends up signing in a month, right? So it's a weirdly composed roster. It is, outside of the whole Kuminga situation, a roster clearly designed specifically to play the way that fits Steph Curry. And that's how you would expect. I'm not saying that's the wrong thing, but it does make it a pretty tight margin for error.
No doubt about it. Let's get back to the small forward, the power forward, the whatever position Jonathan Kuminga is going to be playing this upcoming season and his role. That's coming up. All right, today's episode is brought to you by Peloton. If you've never used a Peloton before, they're wonderful. It's shaping the future of fitness. And their brand new Peloton cross-training tread, powered by Peloton IQ, is their most advanced equipment yet. I think I have an older model. May need to upgrade here soon. It's designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move. Whether you're running, there's lifting classes, there's cross-training, and it's got your favorite instructors. This is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. One of my favorite things about Peloton treadmills in general, the fact that I told Kolsky this last year quite a bit. I'd be watching the Warriors games on the TV, and on my screen in front of me on the Peloton, I'd be hiking the Swiss Alps. I'd be running through Paris. Options are endless. Plug in your own music. They got the swivel screen, which is a game changer. It's good stuff. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com. All right, man, let's get back to Kuminga and the role that he will play this upcoming season for the Dubs. Last year, his role when Jimmy Butler was traded was really 18 to 25 minutes consistently. There were some games where he was better than others, and the games that he was better than others post Jimmy Butler were all kind of glue games. They were games where he was crashing the glass, playing good defense, scoring the ball a little bit, but there weren't really many moments that he popped second half of the season post-injury. One, because there was some load management going on and, getting him back into the spin of things after, I believe it was 30 games he missed with that ankle injury. That's one reason. Two, it's just trying to find the fit with Jimmy Butler now on the team. Everything changed once playoffs came around because at that point it's win or go home. And Steve Kerr, in his mind, best option was to not play him at all. They did not see the fit at that point. Kerr has said this offseason that he is going to make it work. He's going to clear the runway early and have those 4, you know which 4 I'm talking about, playing on the floor at the same time for a good bit of the beginning of the season. Do you believe him?
Yes. I'm apprehensive because I've been burned before. But I think
what
I
good
really
is not
think he
playing
has
him, right?
to. That's right.
Get the stock up.
I really think he has to, whether he likes it or not, at least for a couple of months. And look, if it's a couple of months of actually trying to put those lineup combinations together in a meaningful way, and it sucks, then I think there's going to be a lot less opposition to reducing Kuminga's role again. Right? Like as people in the chat are saying, he said he wasn't playable in the playoffs. And look, frankly, I think that was always ridiculous. But more to the point,
especially when Pat Spencer was running around and they threw in Jackson Rowe. Yeah,
we just don't need to do it again. But
Braxton Key missing.
We all thought that was ridiculous, unless we're, jerks. On the other hand, there are legitimate reasons why you could argue he's less playable in the playoffs, right? And some of that is down to Jonathan Kuminga's own decision-making and development. So that's all fine and good. None of that, to me, changes the fact that he's got to play now. Because you've either got to find a way that he helps you or find a way to make him worthwhile for someone else to give you something that helps you. You just have to. So I think he's got to play at least for a couple of weeks.
And I think this is a good comment from Kevin, who is one of Jonathan Kuminga's biggest fans, I've come to find out. He says, if Kuminga does not do what the team asks of him, he's going to be glued to the pine. He's got way less rope than ever before. Obviously,
I think that's totally false. I don't think there's any reason to say he has less rope than before. First of all, he's never had rope. So to say he has less rope than before is like, what's less rope than no rope? Secondly, Kevin might be right because
there's a bunch of back-to-backs early, man, and that's important.
Yeah, that's the thing. Kevin might be right that Steve Kerr wants to do that. If you don't rebound like Sean Marion, you're going back to the bench. But I have to believe that better sense will prevail, because if that happens, then you do tank his value. Then it might be hard to trade him, even though his contract is pretty reasonable.
And let's point to that Houston game last year, early in the season, man, or the Suns or whatever. He can help you win some games. He's not some damn scrub. Now, is he the future of Warriors basketball, like some of the stands on this program believe? No, I don't think he is. But I've said many times, I think he's at the very least good. Now, is he good for this team? Maybe not, but that's what we're going to find out. This is very much a let's see what happens, but this is better than the qualifying offer. We're going to rip up the contract postseason if you do want to be here and we want you here, and if not, we're going to trade you. And worst case scenario, I don't know if they framed it this way, but this is how I'm looking at it. Worst case scenario, you're going to have to spend 12 months in Salt Lake City. You'll survive.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the way I look at it, man. Any final thoughts on this live program? Appreciate everyone for tuning in. We got preseason basketball coming Sunday, first Sunday of October. So we're just out here.
Thank goodness. Thank the good Lord, folks. Let's just get that ball bouncing. That's really what it's time for. I don't want to have any more thoughts until I see something.
Amen, man. Amen. The signings of Al Horford, DeAnthony Melton, expect those to be official by the time you're watching, listening to the show. It'll be happening soon. Physicals obviously pending, that sort of thing. But the Warriors are going to get this thing together as quickly as possible. October 1st is literally the day after we're recording this, and you would have to imagine that everything's set in stone by then. Kolsky, good stuff, man. Thanks for hopping on the emergency pod.
Always.
We're here for you. Locked on Warriors, free and available wherever you get your audio podcast and on YouTube. Peace, everyone.
Let's play ball. Here we go.
Hey.